Looks like we are
We're
live. Hey, man.
Hey,
What's going on?
how you doing?
I'm doing great, actually. I am excited about this evening, that's for sure.
Super excited.
So talk to me about this marathon of a
my
weekend you had.
How about you had a marathon weekend too? You had a great weekend.
Not too bad,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you really had a marathon
So
weekend.
I did 3 weddings this weekend.
How many?
3.
3
I did
weddings.
One on Saturday night, one on Sunday night, and one on Monday night.
Last night's I heard was, well, the videos that you sent me were out of control.
Yeah, man, there was a good time. They were a lot of fun. Some shirts came off. So
Shirts? Wait a minute. Shirts came off?
Shirts came off. I'll leave it at that.
Oh boy. I don't even want to guess.
Take with it what you will.
I don't even want to guess. Well, we're excited to be on board with everybody tonight. Thank you guys. I see it filling up. Some people joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, don't forget, if you haven't given StreamYard permission to show your name and your likeness, especially if you're on Facebook, be sure to do that. You can do it up top in the comments there, or in the comment about this video. It tells you what to do. I can't even think about it right. But we want to hear from you guys tonight. Let us know who's watching. Let us know who's out there. Yes, sir. It's already started. My boy, Mike Villa. Man, I had an amazing chat with Mike.
Yeah.
And with Mike and Gabriel earlier today.
Awesome.
And man, I'm excited about that. All right. So three weddings. Last night's was apparently crazy with shirts coming off.
Yeah.
What else?
We had one on Friday together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
My boy Chris checking in. Hey, Chris. Thank you, man.
On.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Appreciate you, man.
Man, I'm excited about tonight. I think I said that already, but
how was your weekend?
My weekend was a friggin' blur. I don't even really remember what I did.
I think I worked like 30 hours in 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, I almost have to go back to my calendar and look like, okay, wait a minute. Where was I and what did I do? Yeah. Saturday night, we had a great time. Awesome. You were there, so you should know that.
Don't even remember. Don't even remember.
And Facebook user with the what up. Nice to join us. Thank you very much. And we got John Arden checking in. Good evening. I got to look all around these cameras to even see this. How about you read those? Because I can't read them.
He says, good evening. Been looking forward to this.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And who do we got here?
Matt Peterson.
Matt Peterson.
Hello, guys. Hey.
And then my favorite person in the world.
Facebook user.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, those you guys that it says Facebook user, if you go up to the top there should be something that says give StreamYard permission to show my face and name, and then we won't have to call you Facebook user anymore.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, me too. And that's why I'm like all over the place right now. One of the things I want to share with you guys right away, as we have been asked by multiple people for this. But before I do this, I do want to do one thing. It's not about numbers, but it does help. If you guys are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do that. Please take a second to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we want this information, we want this education to reach as many eyeballs and ears as possible. Yeah. And obviously that helps us out. So if you guys have not subscribed to the Wedding Business Growth YouTube channel, please do that.
Help grow the fam.
That's exactly it. Build a community. Build a community. What I was about to say, though, is people have asked for it, so we have done it. It's not on Apple Podcasts yet. I apologize, but it should be there soon. But anywhere else, just about that you listen to podcasts, especially Spotify, you can now search and find Wedding Business Growth, and we have all of our episodes broken down into shorter, smaller little chunks. I know that people like to, kind of listen to podcasts at about 25, 30 minutes a pop, 35 minutes a pop. So what we've done is taken all of the past episodes. Obviously, it's just the audio, but we've taken all of the, what do we got here?
Subscribe now, please.
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. So we've taken all of the audio of the past episodes, and then moving forward, we will also be posting all of our episodes on the podcast as well. So if you miss something and it's easier for you to listen to it a little bit at a part, a little bit at a time, then that might be a lot easier. So we kind of spent 3 or 4 days kind of breaking those down, throwing them up there for you guys.
Well, I'll tell you, I was listening to them a little bit, and they honestly sound, not to toot their own trumpet, but they sound pretty good. So they're nice to listen to as well. So.
Well, and it's interesting. Like, the thing I love about the podcast is if you listen to the audio quality of them from the beginning, you start at the very first one and kind of progress through them. you can hear the improvement in audio quality.
Yeah.
You obviously wouldn't see the improvement in video quality on those, but what is cool is that it's just a testament to how, you know, everything in our industry you can continue to evolve, you can continue to grow and get better, but you can start wherever you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we started with, like, you know, some goofy little mix board and hey, how are you, Facebook user? We started with like a goofy little mix board and some cheap ass like old, you know, handheld microphones, and we sounded probably like Aquaman, but like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter.
Just start creating.
Yeah, it just continues to evolve. Yeah. So once again, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. We're about to get started with our guest here. We're just doing our silliness that we always do in the beginning to just let everybody know something. If you're just joining us, please comment. Let us know who you are. Go in the comments. Tell us who's out there. Tell us who's watching. Show us some love. We'll show you some love back. Yeah, we have to do this because we love it. If you have a drink in your hand, doesn't have to be a Dr. Pepper, raise that. Here's to all of you guys. Here's to all of our friends out there. Here's to my guy checking in right now, Mike Tech.
What's going on,
brother? What's up? Listen, guys, I don't know, man. I really, for what it's worth, I really feel lucky to live in the state that we live in. I mean, I guess it depends on where you. Maybe I'm opening a can of worms here. I don't know. What I'm saying, Mike Villa says Patron time. No, you're not kidding, bro. You're not kidding. When I hear from our friends up north, and I hear from our friends in you know, California and stuff like that, and the struggles and the challenges that they're dealing with, man, I just it's tough for me to hear it, and I almost feel like you know, I agree with you, Mike Tech. I do agree with you, but I almost feel like, you know, it's bragging, and I just want everybody to understand, like, this is not the case at all. Like, it's not bragging. If anything, it's just kind of helping remind everybody that events are going to come back. No matter where you live, events are going to come back. You're going to be working again. And this is going to be a big topic of what we're talking about tonight. You're going to be working again, maybe later than you thought, maybe sooner than you think. I don't know. Who knows? Things could change where we are too. Just because they are the way they are now doesn't mean they're always going to be that way. So I really just want you guys to know, and shout out to our boy Clive. Hope to see you in Florida next week, guys. Oh, I didn't know you were coming here. Yeah, let us know, man. Absolutely.
For sure.
You know, just hang in there. That's all I can say. Hang in there. You know what I mean? And if you're struggling, if you're hurting, if you're frustrated, if you're upset, if you're if you're on the brink, like, reach out to us so we can talk, so we can help, so we can, you know, so we can do whatever we can do. There he is. What's up, Gabriel? What's up, homie?
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning of it, I mean, David and I were in the same position. So, I mean, I kind of feel gross saying that I did 3 weddings this weekend, especially because I know how bad people are hurting. But we've all been there. Like, everyone has experienced this at some point. So stay strong, and if you need to talk, we're always here. You know?
And who would have thought that we would ever say we feel guilty about talking about this? This is so crazy. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. All right. Well, this show is all about positivity, so that's over with.
Keep it positive.
All right. We're gonna keep moving forward. We're gonna keep being positive. And I think are we ready to bring our guests on? Y'all, are you guys watching ready for us to bring our guests on? If you are, just let us know in the comments if you're ready for us to bring our guest on. I have over the last couple of weeks, if you guys have been watching, I've been working really hard on making sure to get decent bios that I can give people their due respect versus me just saying, yo, this is cool, this is you know, this is this person and they're cool and so on and so forth. Yes, Gabriel, I agree, man. Yeah, man, absolutely. So I'm going to read the bio, and then we're going to bring our guest on to join us tonight. It's right over here, so I have to look this way. Rob began his career as a mobile DJ 32 years ago in Southern Maine. While pursuing a degree in communications and broadcasting from St. Joseph's College in Maine, Rob has also worked as an on-air personality in Portland. Following college, Rob returned to the greater Boston area, shout out to the Boston Red Sox, and eventually started Rob Peters Entertainment. Rob is also an award-winning children's entertainer and operates the Bubble Music Man and Bubble Parties. Rob has recently joined the team of entertainment specialists, one of Boston's leading entertainment agencies, to provide entertainment services, team building, and game show services. He also recently appeared as the DJ of all things, go figure, in the film Godmothered, which was just released on Disney Plus in December this month. Yes, sir. Rob has shared his knowledge and DJs throughout North America and as a podcast host, author, and speaker at various conventions for over 20 years. So please help us welcome our guest tonight, Mr. Rob Peters.
Wow. Hey, hold on. Wait. We gotta do this, David. There you go.
Yes.
Wow.
The Red Sox there.
So this is actually not well. It's an ode to the Red Sox, but it's not a Red Sox jersey.
Before we go any further, can we talk a little bit about this Disney Plus thing? Because that's got me really excited. That's super cool.
Yeah. So the movie came out last Friday on Disney Plus, and I got to give a little bit of backstory. About 2 years ago, as David mentioned, I do bubbles. And the local casting company up here in Boston called me up and said, there's a film going on and we need some guy to, create big bubbles in a park and we'll pay you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, how much are you going to pay me? And they said, what's your rate for 4 hours? So I gave them my rate and they said, no problem. Be up at this school on this date. And we'll have wardrobe. Basically, long story short, I was an extra in a German movie that I don't even know what happened to it. Like, I can't find anything about it. And I was just there making bubbles. So I was in their database. And this whole Disney thing came up at the beginning of this year before COVID hit. They called me up and said, we need a DJ who's got his own gear to come do a 2-day shoot in City Hall Plaza. Are you interested? Wow. And it was funny because I don't want to, we're trying to be positive here. There was a lot of chat about it because they did put it up on social media and it got into that whole game of, oh, you're going to be there for 2 days. You're only getting paid this much. And I won't leave the house. So long story short is I've had a great relationship with Boston Casting and I'm like, the heck with it. I'll do it. What am I going to do on a Monday or Tuesday? I'm watching all these people put up that they don't leave the house for a certain amount. And I'm getting paid to go be part of a movie that's going to help me with my kids' entertainment business. So I'm in. And that's exactly what happened. I play the DJ. It's about 33 minutes into the film. And it's basically a big scene for a Bruins tailgate, which never happens if you've been to Boston. You can't really tailgate outside TD Garden. But they staged this whole thing. It was a lot of fun to do. 2 or 3 very long days. In fact, David, you know him. I'm going to name drop Mike Cordero from up here. He was also an extra in the movie. He had been in a couple of other scenes. And I showed up that morning and in walks Mike, just like he owned the place. And he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm the DJ. But it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
That's so awesome.
That does sound cool.
Super cool.
Well, and it's just a good example of sometimes the financial reward is not always the lever you need to worry about whether you're pulling or not, so to speak. There's other rewards that come from every experience that you have in life, and who knows what that'll lead to. Yeah, I mean, and it's I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're the only person in our industry that can say that you were the DJ for that movie, and there is some value to that. I mean. There is a little bit of clout to that.
Definitely.
So
the funny part about the whole thing is we shot several different scenes, but I'm in the main scene as the DJ. Yeah. And I only expected them to put like a glimpse of me in. I'm in that scene like for at least a good 30 seconds cut up.
Yeah, I saw something on social media that had a little clip from it. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
and it looks like you
too.
It looks like you actually have some fans out there. We have somebody who said, "Hello from Houston. I want Rob Peters to autograph my bubble hat." So
I know who that is. That's Mike Morales. That's
Mike wants you to autograph his bubble hat, apparently.
Yeah, well, it happened. Well, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And you know what? I was really glad to do it, and I'm hoping that maybe something comes of it. Maybe it helps me with my kids' entertainment stuff. Maybe nothing happens, but you know what? It's an experience that I can say I did, and I'm very happy about it.
Well, and at the end of the day, you even said it, like you were either going to do that or you were going to kind of sit around the house and I don't know, you might do something productive, but at the end of the day, this is an opportunity to do something. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool, man. Love it.
Thank you.
I love it. So you and I had a really, I actually almost wish I would have recorded the phone call that we had the other day, kind of leading up to tonight, because I think that we had a plan in mind for what we wanted to talk about tonight. And then as you and I were kind of talking, I think that plan, we said, wait a minute, maybe this is where the conversation needs to go, and we need to talk about, because because of what is going on. You know what I mean? So many people are struggling. So many people, and I know I said earlier, and this is going to be positive, but we have to create some context for this. Yeah. People are struggling. People are not doing what they're used to doing. People are not working at the level they're used to working at. And it's not just people in our industry, it's people all over the place, Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that you and I were talking about, and I really kind of want to have you touch on a little bit, is reminding people that no matter what you do in our industry, whether you're a DJ, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a videographer, whatever it is, what's going on right now is not your fault. You are not working because of a fault of yours. You are not working because of circumstances that are outside of your control. That doesn't mean that you have to shut down your business. That doesn't mean you have to stop being a videographer or stop being a photographer. You know what I'm saying? And so, don't let go of those things. Like, hang on to those things. Even if you have to go get a part-time job or a full-time job right now to handle this thing. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have to do those things right now, hang on to what you're doing, right, Rob?
You know what? Part of that conversation, this was before my mom called and interrupted. It's a little joke between David and I. We're in the middle of this conversation, and my mom called in the middle. She won't call during this. I shut my phone down. But, we, and David and I can relate to this a little bit more, being veterans in this industry. There was a time that being looked at as part-time in our industry, we were looked down on. And I think that stigma has gone by the wayside. And everybody will tell you this. You got to take care of you. You got to do what you have to do to get through this right now. And whether it's getting a grant, getting a part-time job, pivoting. And believe me, I know we're going to get there and talk about how I've been pivoting in a bunch of different ways. You got to take care of you. And there's no shame in that. And you have to remember that no matter what. And nobody is going to understand your circumstances but you. It's kind of like, it's like your family. People who aren't with you 24/7 are never going to understand what you're going through if there's a family conflict. So at the end of the day, take what you have to do what you have to do, but at the same time, don't give up the ship. And I think that's really important too. I know, and I can speak to this because I dealt with it on the bubble parties end. There were some people who basically pivoted to the point where they're not even continuing on at all. Like, their website's gone. You call their number and it's, hi, my name is Joe. Hi, it's Joe. Leave a message, as opposed to, hey, thanks for calling Joe's DJ service, blah, 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 blah. And it's really important that you understand that this is out of all of our control. Now, I'm not going to defend or get political here because that's not my style. Anybody who knows me knows that. At the same time, there is something to be said about the precautions that are in place. Whether you agree or disagree with them, at the end of the day, I don't want to go down the road and say that the politicians have it right, because I know that that's a very argumentative topic. At the same time, you got to take care of you. And that also means taking care of you health-wise. And that's important too.
Yeah.
Those are great points.
Yeah, no, I think all of those are very valid points. And you're right. It's kind of tough to even go down the path of that, because first of all, it's so different everywhere, and it's different in different states. And for some instances, it's different in different cities within different states. Definitely. And so I think it's I think it's frustrating for everybody. But here's the positive side of that. And this is the other part of our conversation that I thought was really great, was looking at this and saying, listen, we all need to use this as, whether it's a second chance, third chance, first chance, whatever next chance you are on in your business, we need to use this as a chance to take the time while we're not doing events to really focus on the things we can be doing, right, and to really be setting ourselves up for when this pandemic is over. When, I'm nervous to say things go back to normal, because I know there's a segment of people that are going to say things are never going to be normal again. Right. And I get that shit. I'm just saying, when I'm going to try to elementary it down as much as possible. When we get back to being able to do events again, uninhibited, right? When we get to the point where there is no reason why we can't be doing events again, this is the opportunity. This is the time frame to get yourself in a position to be all of the things that you always said you wanted to be the first time around. Like, now you can do it.
Right.
Now you can make it happen.
Not to toot my own trumpet or anything like that, but I felt that myself. Like, I saw something fantastic on social media. It was like how many businesses have formed like in the recessions or the depressions or whatever. So many businesses start. This can be such an opportunity to grow your business and become something more. Or for me, I've noticed so much growth even just now getting started, like during this time. It's absolutely incredible. So it really is what you make it. And I would challenge everyone to stay positive and look at this as an opportunity rather than like an inconvenience.
Sure, absolutely.
Nick, you hit the nail right on the head, Nick, and I can speak to that a little bit, because in the middle of this whole thing, the word pivot was thrown around a lot.
Right.
Pretty fair, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I pivoted and opened a new business in the middle of this whole thing.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Rob, I want you to talk about that, but I just want to answer this question real quick. John, yes. Feel free, John, to put any questions that you have. Just put them in the comments. We're not going to do like a specific Q&A time frame. So anytime something pops up, just put them in the comments. Yeah. We'll definitely grab them and we'll address them at the appropriate time. Sorry, Rob. Go on more about that if you will. It's been a rough year all the way around, and I'm not going to give you the whole tales of woe. And David, we lost a good friend, and I lost my best friend this year. My dad passed away. And we knew it was coming. It wasn't COVID related, thank goodness. But we had always talked about doing a hot dog cart and doing a hot dog business, and I actually went and did it. And that's how I'm surviving through all this right now, at least for the next few weeks. Because let's be honest, it's cold up here in Boston. It's like 29 degrees. And, I've been able to make a pretty good profit as far as beyond the initial investment. I've made some contacts and actually booked some virtual events and some bubble stuff right out of it. So, and it's something that Dog's in the house.
Yeah, thank you. It's something that I can use when things do get back to where we need them for them to be. When things reopen and we begin to do events again, I've got something that I can add value to my existing services with. The pandemic hits all of us hard. To give you a little more of my story, 3 years ago, we took our wedding budget and slashed it in half and focused on corporate and convention. And that's what we were doing. We're still doing weddings. But I took a good hard look when the pandemic hit. My wedding clients, and you talk about regrouping, and you talk about being what you want to be. It also goes down the road of how you handle things right now and how you've been handling things. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what your role is in the industry. I've heard some great stories of some great customer service opportunities that are going to do some people really good because they took care of their customers the right way. On the flip side, there are some places and some people who aren't handling it right. And two of them are actually two weddings that I'm doing, and these brides are calling me in tears about how this particular vendor is charging a $2,000 rebooking fee for something that is out of everybody's control. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, this is an opportunity for you to really to get to know your clients, and in a wedding environment, that's key, to be the MC and to grab that microphone and to walk on that floor to do that wedding and to give people the perception that you really got to know your client. That's a win. Yeah. And that's going to yield a lot of, you talk about the whole movie thing, and it wasn't thousands of dollars, but you know what? It yielded me something else, and it's going to happen with everything else that's going on. And I think that's important.
Well, and I've said this before in previous shows, and I think it's worth saying again. The one thing that my bank has never asked me, ever, the whole time I've ever banked, they've never asked me where the money came from. All they've either done is cashed a check and put it in my deposited in my account, or occasionally said, "Hey, there's not any money. You need to go after these people because they wrote you a bad check." My point is, your bank doesn't care where the money comes from. We all get so hung up on, if I don't succeed as being a DJ, then I don't succeed. And that can transcend over. I know that we have more than just DJs watching us, and I don't want to pigeonhole our conversation into just DJs, but like, Rob, you started a bit, which is so cool. I knew that you started this hot dog business. I did not know that it was partially a relationship to your dad, and something that, so the homage to your dad is like another layer of how cool this is, right? But you didn't sit there and say, "Oh, well, I'm a DJ, so I'm too cool to start a friggin' DJ card," or I'm a wedding planner, so I'm too cool to start a stationery company. I don't know. I'm just thinking of things like you got to understand, if you want to survive, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner first. Whatever the hell you do is on you, but you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner first. And if you focus on that, and if you use that to motivate you and drive you, then you can make, I hate the fucking word pivot, pardon my language, but I hate that word. But if you got to pivot, then you got to pivot, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay, because once again, if you started off one place and you moved to another place, you shifted to this other place, again, your bank doesn't give a shit. Yeah. The people you're writing your bills to, they don't care.
And you might find something you truly love.
Absolutely.
I mean, I pivoted into more real estate work when we first got hit, and I'll tell you, now it's something that I can just add, and it's another service, and it's another thing. So I mean, it really is an opportunity for growth. And I mean, if you look at it that way, I think your mindset is so better off.
And did the teller at the bank account bank that you bank at ever say to you, "Did this come from a bride and groom?"
Honeybook don't give a shit.
That's right. That's right. Neither does the honey badger.
The funny thing though is, you talk about the bank and not asking where the money came from. I think it's relatively important though that the people at the bank, and it's a big win for you, business wise and networking wise, that the people in the bank know what you do. Because you never know where that next referral is going to come from. Strengthening your network right now in the middle of all this is key. Keeping in touch with people. You toasted a Dr. Pepper, and I got mine. I got the slimmed down version because I was told I needed it. But Dr. Pepper back in the day, and I've talked about this on stage, I've talked about this in the middle of seminars and online stuff. Dr. Pepper back in the day, their marketing campaign was 10, 2, and 4. There were 3 times during the day to drink a Dr. Pepper, 10, 2, and 4. And to outline it, 10 o'clock isn't 9 o'clock, and people are settled into their day a little bit. So you're probably going to get somebody on the phone. I'm jumping ahead here. The point I'm getting at is 10, 2, and 4 are good times for you to contact people in your network.
Love it.
10 o'clock isn't 9 o'clock. Most people go to lunch between 11:30 and 1:30. And you know what? At 4 o'clock, most people get at the clock going, when am I going to get the hell out of here? So it's a lot easier to be able to get in touch with people. And if you use that as a guide and do that 3 times a day, you're going to, excuse me, you're going to be able to keep your network strong and determine who's going to be a good fit for you down the road. Out of sight is so out of mind with what we're going through right now. One of the big things, Jerry Bazada, who you've seen at some of the conventions, one of the things Jerry Bazada taught me when this all first went down, which in the beginning, and David and I, you and I talked about this the other day, David, when this first happened, I came on to podcasts and I came on to some of the education that's out there. And realistically, I'm like, we're done with this by May 1st. And this was in the middle.
We all thought so.
And we all thought that was going to be the case. And now here we are. It's Christmas is weeks away and we're still dealing with this. So you still have plenty of time. And I think that that's important. But you've got to keep marketing yourself out there and figuring out where you want to be. If you're deciding that now is the time for you to reinvent your wheel, do it now so that when things reopen and things begin to come back to normal, you're ahead of the game.
I like that.
You hit the ground running. Make it your launch date. If your wedding season, and again, different parts of the country, different times. You might hear a little squeak here. My dog is hanging out down here, and he likes to make a little noise. So that's Brady, everybody. But if you're reinventing yourself and you know that your engagement season starts now. Yeah. So your launch date should be, believe it or not, now in the wedding biz. Because between now and St. Patrick's Day, those are going to be the times when most people get engaged.
Yep.
So you know what? You need a new logo, get on Fiverr.com and get a logo. Or call a graphic designer and get a logo done. Moonlighting app. There's a bunch of them out there and ways that you can get this stuff done if you can't do it yourself.
One thing that I really that stuck out to me was the 10, 2, and 4 thing. I think that would be a great challenge for our viewers this week. I mean, but try it, guys. I mean, make a commitment to yourself. I'm going to reach out to someone.
So Big Daddy.
10, 2, and 4. Every day I'm going to reach out to a new person at 10, 2, and 4. I mean, that's fantastic. I love that. So, I mean, those are some of the great things that you could be doing right now so that you are ready once the time comes. I mean, I know that I've been doing tons of like rebranding and stuff with my website. It's like, now's the time to do it. I mean, absolutely. So no, just a great point.
Let me hit up some of these comments real quick before too many of them go by too quickly. I love this one. Right, my dude said, as a bill collector, I can confirm we don't care where the money comes from. I get you there, no doubt about it. And you were talking a little bit, about marketing and getting out there. So I think this is a great time to kind of expand on that. We had a comment come in. I am a Long Island market, which is super crowded in music vendors. I do live music, DJ, and dual and piano combos, which is different. How do I market unique services in a crowded market space? And I think this is a good segue to kind of talking about maybe some unique marketing ideas, maybe some guerrilla marketing tactics, things like that. If that's if you want to take it that way, I say we do it.
I think when it comes to that, there's a couple of things that come to mind. The first one is obviously all your website, your social is so key, and that's one of the things that you talk about things you want to do in the middle of the pandemic. I'm actually taking courses right now about social media just so that I can be better at it with my business and in branding. And it's all about the branding, John. And I want to talk about that for a second. I think the best thing you could do right now, where a lot of stuff isn't going on with live events, is maybe do a virtual show. Mm-hmm. Invite your audience to a free virtual show. Maybe you host a virtual happy hour where everybody comes in with their favorite drink and hangs out a little bit, and you're doing a dueling pianos thing with split screens. That's just right out of the gate right there.
That's awesome.
If you get an opportunity to do, I think the best, it's like test driving a car to get in touch with your audience. If people get a little taste of what you do and get to experience it, and maybe it didn't cost them anything, they're going to remember you when it comes for the holiday party, or they're going to remember you when it comes for that particular event that needed something different. And that's the important thing. I would also say, John, look at your branding and I'll explain this a little bit. We have, and to lay it all out, Rob Peters Entertainment's kind of like the big umbrella with all of the stuff we do. But each one of my services, think Coca-Cola for a second. In every market, you've got Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite. They own Mug Root Beer. They own Fanta, if you know what Fanta is, Fanta Orange and that stuff, okay? And they own Minute Maid. So let's just put that all out there. So when they pull up to a store, right, the Coke truck or the Diet Coke truck, however they have it branded, pulls up. But inside that truck isn't just Coke. It's Diet Coke, Sprite. It's all their brands, right? Mm. But at the end of the day, when they hand the invoice to the store owner, there's not an invoice for Sprite. It's all at the top of the thing. It's Coca-Cola. And you make the check no matter what to Coca-Cola. My photo booth is branded as its own brand. We call it Funny Face Photo Booths. My Bubble Entertainment is marketed as the Bubble Music Man. It's a separate brand, but all the checks go, you know what? You brought up the bank. The bank doesn't care that it came from a Bubble show. My game show division, I made that separate because I wanted people to see what the individual brand did. Not the fact that I was a DJ company that did this, and this. So, John, I think if you took your dueling pianos and you gave it its own logo and you bought the URL that goes with it and you made your Twitter and your Facebook and your Instagram all just about dueling pianos, that's going to help you market that a little bit better.
Well, and you also mentioned about the, you know, the experience. And I think one of the biggest epiphanies that I had early on in business was realizing that if I focused more on the experience that people were going to have at the event that I was going to be a part of, and helping them, first of all, helping them see the experience that they want to have, and then letting them know how I can help them have that experience. They didn't give a damn what kind of equipment I used to do it with. Yep. They didn't care how many songs I had in my library to make it happen with. They didn't care where I bought my lights from. All they cared about is that I was going to be able to provide them this experience that they wanted to have. And man, I'm telling you, when you can have that clarity and that can come across in how you communicate to your client, you will see a difference, a huge difference.
Exactly. But I think that's the key when it comes to marketing in a crowded market. We're all in crowded markets. Yeah. Because it seems like our industry over the past 15 years, maybe even longer, has become a lot easier for people to get into. You can go to the wholesale club and you can see a speaker that looks like a JBL Eon, if you remember the Eons. Okay. And it's like you just said, David, they don't care they care about the experience they're going to have. And I don't want to knock any of the companies that sell gear because honestly, at the end of the day, we need gear as part of our job. And if you're going to be a professional and act like one, you need to make sure you represent yourself as one. And sometimes the equipment does come down to that.
I think if we look at it from the standpoint of we're buying the gear for us, we're not buying the gear for them. We're buying the gear for us because we value what we do. We value how we present what we present. It's almost like to me, that part of it is almost like a moot point. Like it shouldn't even be, you shouldn't even be talking about it. Like you buy the gear that you buy. The brand of gear, everybody has their preference, you know, when it comes to controllers, whether it's Pioneer, whether it's, you know, Denon, whether it's this, that, or who cares? Like, so yeah, and I 100% agree. And I definitely don't want to knock those individuals who are the manufacturers of the gear as well. But again, to me, you're buying the gear for you because that's what you will utilize to provide this experience. But they don't give a shit who it was made by.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that we focus on that kind of stuff, the more we're missing the opportunity to focus on the experience that they're going to have, which is what they really want in the first place.
I love that. I mean, for me in the photo video world, it's a little different. It's like, what do I want my stuff to look like? You know, I've been telling David, I got a cinema camera now finally as a videographer, like a tried and true cinema camera. I don't think any of my clients care what it is or anything. You know, obviously I do because I'm, you know, I enjoy that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm purchasing, the client is purchasing, what does it look like? Mm-hmm. What's the final product going to look like? And then let's go from there. I think that's the most important thing. It's a tool. I mean, it's a tool. And it's like, what do I want my product to look like? I need to have this type of thing. I don't think any of the clients care, but they care about the product at the end of the day.
But the experience to them is still the same thing. When they watch your video,
right?
What are they experiencing? How do they feel?
Yep.
Are they watching it with tears in their eyes, tears of joy?
Yeah.
Or are they watching it like, shit, I could have got an 8th grader to put this together for me on iMovie? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the point I'm talking about. Like, that experience is so important.
Right. And and the gear does do that to some extent, right? Like, you know, I had to purchase that camera to have that effect for my clients. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and to bring those points together with what I've been talking about, Nick, I just want to throw you on the spot for a minute. If I were to hire you to do a, I don't know, a corporate, maybe you're doing a corporate shoot as part of their employee appreciation thing, you're using the same camera pretty much, right?
Correct.
Okay. My point. It doesn't, you can use the same gear and do a bunch of different things.
Correct.
It's how you put that presentation out there and show that experience. It's gonna bring you home. It really is.
Yeah.
So
it's an aesthetic. I mean, I worked, you know, a lot in the past couple of months, you know, trying to create a certain aesthetic about it, like cinematic, you know, that was the big thing for me. It's like visuals is like how it's going to look, right? And tying that back into the whole branding thing, NAS visuals, you know, aesthetics and cinema. So
thank you, Devin. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Devin. So, you know, it's funny because, you know, for a long time it was, and David, you and I talked about this the other day, testimonial marketing. I want to jump into this just for a minute when it comes to what John was asking, because John, put your testimonials out there, man. If you don't get testimonials from people aren't going to be able to visualize what their event's going to look like. You can talk about how great you are all day long. Truth. Yeah. But your customers, and you know what? I learned this ironically in the wedding biz, and I still do this to this day. At the end of every wedding, provided the bride and groom are still kind of with it, and let's be honest, I've had my fair share of couples that by the end of the wedding, they're not really the kind of couple I want to have saying good things about me on a video, because they're pretty well, the credibility about how they're talking and what they're saying doesn't go with it. But
let's just say it, they're drunk.
Yeah, there you go. Get a video from your client. And you know what? Maybe if they've had a few, have them do it a couple days later. We all have one of these now. The really cool thing about this is you can record video. And you know what? Ask them for it. If they loved you as a client, as a vendor, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
If they loved you as a vendor, they're going to do it for you.
So here's a thought. I mean, I love when people say stuff because I'm like, that's a great idea. How can we go 1% higher on that? Okay, sure. So let's combine your idea with networking, because that's part of what we're talking about tonight is networking. And, you know, John asked a question about how he can get out there. So if we let client X know ahead of time, hey, you know, we love to get video testimonials from our clients. At some point during the night, I may come to you. Is that okay? If you're comfortable, if you feel like you're having a great time and you don't mind just taking a moment to let us know about it, it's great to let future couples know. So you've prepped them ahead of time. They know this is happening. They know it's going to be done. And then at the wedding, Nick happens to be there. Right? Nick happens to be there. Well, me and Nick have never worked together before. This is the first time Nick and I have ever worked together. Hey, Nick, could you do me a quick favor? I'm the bride and groom were going to give me a video testimonial. I was going to use my cell phone to do it, but I'm sure the quality that you could get would be much better. Would you mind doing that for me? And if I got to pay you for it, fine, whatever. He's not going to say you got to pay him for it. He doesn't care. He's going to take 2 seconds to do this, or 60 seconds or whatever. But you've got a good quality video. You've built a relationship with another videographer, and you never know. That videographer might have liked what you were doing, and I've had this happen to me more times than I realize. That videographer might have liked what you were doing that night and videotaped some of that stuff that you didn't even realize he was doing, And then next thing you know, a couple days later, an email pops up in your inbox. Hey man, I just put together this little 15-second promo video for you. I know you didn't ask me for it, but I figured you might like it.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
Strengthening our networks is so important. And I'm glad you opened this door a little bit, David, because I think it's important to speak to that a little bit. I think one of the things that often, even still in our industry, it often gets forgotten is that at the end of the day, we are all, no matter what our hat is, whatever our role is, we are all working in the couple's best interest to throw them, and Big Daddy's in the room, so I'm going to say it, the best day of their entire lives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you rather do? Butt heads with the photographer? Piss off the videographer? Make it so that the venue isn't your buddy? Making a phone call the week before the wedding to all those vendors and, hey, look, I'm going to be the DJ. I'm the master of ceremonies. I just wanted to get on the same page with you. Make sure we're on the same page. Nick, I call videographers and I ask them if they need a plug-in for the ceremony, if we're doing the ceremony. It's small stuff like this, you guys. Really? I tell the photographer, I make a separate sheet of my timeline, one for the photographer that day, one for the videographer. And I asked the photographer, and I'm going to give you this nugget right now. I told you guys in the promo for this, write stuff down, start writing. Tell your photographer, listen, I know you have a job to do, and I know you're probably going to want to go and get, I don't know, a sunset shot, a goodbye shot. If you're going to be taking the bride and groom out of the room, can we just coordinate that so that it goes, and I don't, neither of us look bad at the end of the day, or we don't stall something out.
Mm-hmm.
And can we do this together? Not, I need to know if you're taking the bride and groom out of the room. How stupid does that sound?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Nick, can we coordinate when you're going to pull the bride and groom for whatever you're taking them outside to do, just so that I can make sure that I don't call them up for anything I might have planned?
And here's the most important thing to probably write down. And I'm not saying it because I'm saying this. I'm just saying it because it just popped in my head. Guess who's not doing this? Your competitors.
People who aren't here.
Your competitors.
Yep.
That's who's not doing this. Yep. So that's the best thing about all of it. Is if you take this advice and you start doing it, then you're already a leg up on your competition.
Yep.
And doing it before the event day happens is the best time to do it, because then anything that needs to be worked out can be worked out ahead of time. It doesn't become a quote unquote confrontational situation the day of, when vendor X has this plan and vendor Y has this plan, and neither one of those plans jive up. But in reality, you could talk about it ahead of time and just say, hey, look, when are you planning on doing this? When are you thinking about doing this? If so, like Rob said, can we coordinate it so that I just had it happen to me the other day at the wedding that we just did together on Saturday. They wanted to, you remember, we were talking about it at dinner.
Yeah.
They wanted to take the bride and groom, right? So it was like, toast, cake cutting, and then they were going to take the bride and groom out to do something. And I was like, time out, hold on. Can we at least let the bride and groom help come out and kind of open up the dance floor with the guests and everything? And then literally, I don't care if it's at the end of that song, in the middle of that song, but just can I have them at least just to help open up the dance floor, because it was time for open dancing. Right. And everybody's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But it potentially could have made a huge difference between doing that or not doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure. Another thing too, as a videographer, like, hey, is it okay, to the DJ if I take if I put a microphone on your microphone for redundancy in audio? Well, what do you got to do? Oh, I got to tape it on there. Whoa, you got to tape it on there. What? If you're asking that the day of, that's a problem. Like, how do you not have clearance? And then it becomes a whole thing. And now you're stressed out. Now you stress out the DJ. Maybe even pissed off the DJ. Now you don't have what you need. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where proper preparation prevents poor performance. I'll say it.
And you know what, Nick? If it was worked out in advance, the DJ can tell you, Well, listen, instead of taping a mic to my speaker, do you have a way of using a 1/4-inch input? If I give you a 1/4-inch out of my board on the booth out or whatever it is, will that help you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
About working in the best interest of the couple.
Yeah.
To make sure that their day is the best day it can be. The best day of their lives.
Yeah.
I want to be known as the DJ who did somebody's wedding and made it the best wedding they've ever been to. That's it.
Along with everybody else that was there in attendance.
Yeah.
True. You're absolutely right. But at the end of the day, the first two people I want to make sure are happy.
Yeah.
Are the people who signed my contract and the people who signed my check.
Agreed.
So
let's go back to some marketing a little bit here and talk a little bit about maybe some social media marketing ideas that you might have that because it's interesting. Like sometimes I think that, and I've been guilty of saying this to myself, where I'm like who doesn't know how to do something on social media now? But that's really kind of a silly question to ask, because some people do struggle with it, and if it's not something that you really like, for I don't know, for me and Nick, like it's something that's fun to us. So like, whatever, it's cool. But like, if it's not really your thing, then you might not dive into it as much. So,
stressful. I mean,
so maybe some ideas that you have, Rob, that can kind of alleviate some of that stress, even maybe.
You know what? It's something I actually learned in this course I'm taking. I'm actually taking a course to learn more about social media. First of all, let's talk about how you're branded. If in the beginning, when social media first came out, the big three, believe it or not, were MySpace, Facebook, and Twitter. This is pre-Instagram, pre-Pinterest, all that stuff. And then more stuff started coming out. And I remember sitting in a Mobile Bee conference, and somebody was on stage, and the one thing they said is, don't get into all of them. Pick 2 or 3 that you feel comfortable with and work with them. But the key here is 70% of the content you put out there should be informational and educational, and the remaining 30% should be promotional.
Wow.
Okay. I had a post, and if you're not good at it, and this is something I learned ironically from Ryan Berger, if you're not good at it, find somebody to help you. Spend a little money if you can, and find somebody who will do it for you. I used to pay and had my social media managed. I had a company who did it. Excuse me. And he was putting up all my informational stuff. Like, we made a calendar. On Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, he had educational stuff. And on Wednesday and Friday, on Wednesday, I had something that maybe it was the promotion we were running. Maybe it was a testimonial, whatever it was. And then on Friday, we were putting up where we were going to be for the weekend. He put up a post that got 7.5 million views on my Facebook page. Now think about that. What would you give for one post? Informational. This was not promotional. It was about how to do table numbers and in a unique way. I was getting PMs from people saying, my wedding's down in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. Will you come do it? Well, I'm not available, but I know David is. You know what I mean? Like, that's the cool thing about the network of DJs I've had. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But in social media, make your posts, make sure you keep that balance. Because if you're consistently putting out, hey, we're running a photo booth special, or hey, check out our photo booth, or hey, we're running a free engagement session. If it's consistent promotion, people are going to block it out. The other thing to do, and we found this out with some of the non-wedding stuff we've done, is look at the communities that are in your area. Each community, or a lot of communities on Facebook, have a what I call townie page, where, for example, it's all about Franklin, Massachusetts, and it's all about people who want to talk about issues here in Franklin, or they're looking for a recommendation or something like that. Share the posts in those community forums. but be respectful. Share your posts in there. And what happens is you'll find that at some point, somebody will put a post in that'll say, I'm getting married at the Dedham Hilton and I need a DJ. And people who recognize you from that will tag you in that post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Devin says, always make sure tag event day vendors in your posts, event planners, venues, photographers, caterers, bakers, etc. And then goes on to say, givers gain. It is important.
Dude,
yeah.
And Devin, you're absolutely right. And you know what? It doesn't matter how the working relationship is. You're the bigger person.
Yes.
And perception is reality. And I think that that's important too. We talk about social media and how we can create the facade of what we want people to believe. True?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Everybody does it on a regular basis.
And, you know, I talk about perception. I think this story is kind of important when we're talking about perception. It's actually from your neck of the woods, guys. So I got to share this with you. And it's a story about back in the day, a long time ago. It's actually one of the first times I met David. And I was down there with Bruce Kessler from Name.
Oh, man.
Okay, I got to tell this story. So we flew into Miami. And we were doing basically an educational kind of tour stop kind of thing, kind of bringing DJs together. And so we flew into Miami. We did the Miami one. The next day, we had to come up the Florida Turnpike to go from Miami to Orlando. And Bruce and I got in the car. It was like we left the hotel like at 6:30 in the morning because we wanted to get a head start because we knew it was a long drive. We're driving up the Florida Turnpike. And there are these blue and yellow signs talking about if you need tickets for Disney, stop at exit 242. I think it was called Yeehaw Junction or something. But as you're getting closer to Yeehaw Junction, you're seeing more of these billboards. And basically, Yeehaw Junction in Florida is this reservation place where you can get Disney tickets, or you could. I don't even know if it's still there.
There's no such place as Yeehaw Junction.
I forget what it was called, though. I want to say it was Yeehaw Junction or something like that.
I mean, that's pretty much Florida, but I mean, whatever.
But long story short is we're getting closer to this place. These signs are everywhere. Like I counted 40 in like 4 miles. So Bruce looks at me, I look at him, and I go, so we getting off to get a cup of coffee? Because they had coffee at this place. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, let's get off. So we get off, we go over the highway, we go to the toll booth, and there's this little teeny tiny shack with an old Holiday Inn. If you remember Holiday Inn signs back in the day, they had the big arrow that went like this.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of that sign, it said, welcome. All of those signs, and this is it. And it pointed to this little shack.
Mm.
But the whole way up, you would have never known because you're seeing all these signs and you would have thought it was this big place that did this stuff. The point I'm getting at here is it's a lesson in perception. Never be something you're not. And don't be afraid to try something new, but make sure you back it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I don't remember the name of the town. I thought it was Yeehaw Junction, but I might have been mistaken.
Well, we'll call it that.
Well,
That's
I always think very similar to that. I mean, kind of unrelated, but I always think of south of the border in South Carolina.
That sounds more like it, south of the border.
And it was like, is that what you're referring to?
No, he was in Florida.
This was a reservation center. Like it was smack dab in the middle.
Oh, okay. But south of the border is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like it's gassing up for signs for miles. Like, get ready. And I'm super excited. And you get there and you're like, what is this?
They got a pretty cool, like,
it's cool,
they have a pretty cool, like,
but there's no one ever there.
Well, yeah, but that means the lines are shorter.
Oh my God. You get the point, though. It's very smart. I feel like that happens on social media too sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely know there's a few people where, they've created this like aura.
Yeah.
And it's like, really, like, I mean, they're good at what they do, don't get me wrong, but they've really been able to create like an aesthetic that is not even close to like what it is, like what they're actually doing.
Yeah, you gotta back up what you put out there. And and I mean, going to Devin's point, I think that's a very good point. And I think that I think we could all learn some really good lessons from farmers. And here's what I mean by this. Imagine if farmers had the same need for instant gratification like we all seem to have. And they planted seeds in the ground and they watered those seeds. And then they woke up the next morning and nothing looked any different. And they said, well, shit, I guess I'm a horrible farmer.
Right.
But they realized that if they kept going back and watering those seeds a little bit more, and then all of a sudden something kind of pops up out of the ground, and then there's that, okay, wow, now I see something. Great. That's an excitement. So let me keep watering. Like it's this cyclical thing. Like I see progress. Let me keep doing what I was doing to create that progress. And let me be patient, understanding what the end game is going to be. And I think we don't allow ourselves to do that. And especially in the time that we're in right now, you could be the best seed planter ever.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about if they grow tomorrow. You just have to worry about continuing to go back and watering those seeds so that when it's time for the harvest to happen, and I know I'm going on a stretch here, but when it's time for the harvest to happen, i.e. when the coronavirus is finally over with, you will be ready to be one badass farmer. Like we really should take lessons from that.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal metaphor.
No, I think you make a good point with that. I think the consistency thing is really important too. And that comes with social media. I guess the last thing I want to add to social media, if I could, David, is I'm learning the value of hashtags.
Yeah.
And hashtags are so important. And don't be shy about trying some new ones. I learned a lot about hashtags when it came to the hot dog business, believe it or not. So I think if you study some hashtags and come up with some really cool stuff and put it out there, it's going to pay dividends. And, you know, you talk about the consistency. I think the other thing, David, you have to know what works and what doesn't work. And that can go beyond just the social media end. It can go into your network. There's a philosophy and something that I talk about when it comes to networking, where I divide my people up. And there's a book out there. It's called Referral of a Lifetime. You can find it on Amazon. Find it also on Audible. And the one thing they teach you in this book is everybody knows 250 people, friends, family members, business acquaintances, etc., who would be likely to refer you. And your job is, as part of the exercises they give you, is to note all 250 people and then put them into categories from A to F based on how likely they are to refer business to you. And then as you build your network and continue to expand that network, it's not about the 250 people I know. It's about the 250 people that Nick knows. And I want to network with Nick so that I can get his 250 to do business with me, that he thinks highly enough of me to refer people over. And what ends up happening is you continue to go to networking events and do virtual kind of stuff. And whatever you're doing to maintain your network and get new people into your network, it's determining if the E's and F's, the people that are least likely to refer you, are good enough to stay in that circle of 250. And if not, you cycle them out and put new people in. The goal is to get people that are C's, B's, and A's. But you're always going to have E's and F's in that equation.
Now, Rob, there's some people out there right now that are saying, who has the time to do all of that? And I want to remind you all, we all do right now. We all have time right now.
Yeah.
Unless you want to come out and do hot dogs with me and mini donuts this weekend, you've got time.
Well, I think this is an awesome segue into kind of, you know, we're talking about networking, we're talking about Instagram and social media. How do we do this type of virtual networking, you know, maybe during a pandemic or something like that? I know social media has been an outstanding tool for me. You know, I always am reaching out to people, and David, you don't even know this yet, but I actually just hit up a commercial gig, doing some commercial stuff for a company. And then when on Honeybook, I asked, you know, how did you find us? They said Instagram, and it turned into, you know, a nice little job for me. So
my guy,
yeah,
congratulations.
Appreciate it, bro. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that and how we can do that, that type of virtual networking.
Virtual networking is huge. It's funny. Today alone, I had 2 Zoom meetings. I rushed out to do a kids party, and I'm here with you guys now. And my 2 Zoom meetings today, one of them was a networking group that I belong to, and the other one was I was the moderator. I was the facilitator of a networking session for my Chamber of Commerce. So I was the guy who ran the event. Networking rules have not changed that much now that we've gone virtual. And what I mean by that is people will tell you that consistency is key and going to the networking things is important, and out of sight, out of mind, all that stuff. That's just as important in the virtual world as it is in the real world. So don't be shy about going to a virtual networking thing. Talk to your Chamber of Commerce. NACE, ILEA, your local Visitors and Convention Bureau, MPI, they're all doing all their stuff on virtual right now. And if you're not a member, you can still attend at a non-member rate just to make some contacts.
Yeah. And most of the people in most of those groups are probably not, DJs or entertainers or anything like that. So, there's always that one person that's kind of running the show that's, a little timid about it or a little shy about it. And this is a great opportunity. Like, Rob, that's a great point. I mean, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to showcase what you do in a little bit of a different setting, or I understand. But at the end of the day, if you can go on there and moderate or just kind of, be the voice of God of the thing, so to speak, or whatever the case may be, you never know what doors might open. I mean, Nick and I are actively, heavily involved in our local MPI chapter. And most of the stuff that we've been able to do has actually come from virtual.
Yeah.
It hasn't, I mean, a couple of the things that we've done were from in person, but a lot of it has come from virtual because we put our heads together and said, well, wait a minute, you've got one of those. I've got some of these. We can make this thing happen for people.
Right.
Why not do it?
If you're, and again, I know we're talking to the entire wedding industry as a whole, but if you've got that outgoing personality, you're a DJ and you're an MC, running the event, I actually, like I said, what I do is I bring everybody in, everybody comes in, I give the sponsor their due, I let them have a few minutes, I have the chamber people there, and the president's doing announcements about the upcoming events and what's going on. And then what I'm doing is I set the rules about how we're going to network, and I give them, an idea about, what they should be talking about in about a minute and a half. And then what we do is we actually do it. We actually go through and I go around the room and everybody it ends up being about 2.5 minutes per person, because at the end, one of the things about networking, and I want to put you both on the spot for a minute because I think it's important. If you guys didn't come across each other and you didn't have good rapport, would you be comfortable passing work? I'm sorry, that comfortable passing work back and forth?
Ask the question again. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the question is, you two met.
Yep.
And I'm sure that you developed a rapport where you became friendly and comfortable with one another.
Almost instantly, but
if that rapport really didn't happen and you met at an event and that was the end of it, would you still be passing work back and forth? And
I think the likelihood of it would probably decline, because of all the factors that come in. I mean, you guys know, I don't have to say all that. Hey, Big Earn.
So here's my point. It's beyond knowing that David is a DJ and Nick is a videographer and Mike is an accountant. Okay. It's about who they are. So asking them a question that probes and gets them to kind of open up about who they are. We ask questions today like, what's your favorite holiday movie? What's the one song, if you were stuck in an elevator, you'd want to hear over and over again?
Those sound familiar.
And they do, because that's right. I actually used my little pod decks today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's my point. People will network and refer business to other people that they like and that they're comfortable with. That's it.
Yeah.
So to be the facilitator on all of that is so huge. And it doesn't matter what your role is. If you don't do it with the Chamber of Commerce, make your own. Go into your networking contest and say, listen, I'm going to do a once, and I do once a month. I think once a week, and I don't want to get into a why I hate BNI discussion, because that's a whole nother topic that we could do. If it comes up in Q&A, I'll be happy to answer it. But do a once a week, a month, or once every other week kind of get together and just go through, because in our industry, in the DJ industry, and in other industries, photo, video, if you do more than just weddings, and I know it's called Wedding Business Growth, but I want to help you grow your business overall.
Most important.
Okay? I'm not just a DJ for weddings. I do kids stuff. I do corporate events. I do school stuff. So let's go through that. Photographers, they get senior sessions. They do corporate headshots. I was told not to call them headshots, by the way. Video, Nick, I'm sure you do. I don't know if you do depositions or not, or if any of that, the stuff outside weddings that you do can always be a good resource. And in my market in particular, in my world, this time of year, if we weren't in a COVID environment, I'd be pushing for the last minute holiday parties and the corporate events that are going to happen in the first quarter of next year to jumpstart your staff and to get them going, and talk about, semi-formals and proms and photo booth and all that stuff. I'd also be talking about the fact that this is the time of the year where most engagements happen. So if you know somebody who's getting engaged, to think of me. It depends on how that priority trickles down. So I guess the point I'm getting at is, if you do this once a month or once every other month and get everybody together and keep it consistent, you're going to develop an environment where you're going to be able to pass some referrals around. And let's be honest, referrals are probably the cheapest way to get business next to your performance or your final product.
Yep. Well, and you brought up a good point about, starting your own. If there isn't one there, start your own and start small. Who cares if it's only 3 people? That's not the point. Though it could be 3 people, and amongst the 3 of you, you could refer thousands of dollars of business to each other. You just never know. You have no idea, no clue.
But don't get too big either. And I guess that's the other thing is, if you're going to do this, invite a bunch of people in. And if you're going to keep it industry specific, that's okay. But remember some of the things that are outside our direct industry. For example, realtors, financial planners, fitness people. Sounds kind of crazy, but think about what you would see at a wedding show and go for those people. My attitude is I always market to the end user. To the end user. I have a great relationship with a lot of event planners, a lot of venues, a lot of the industry people in my market, but I also want to market to the end user. I want to market to the owner of a business that is looking for some awesome team building next year. Mm-hmm. Or I want to market to the bar owner that's, having crappy Tuesdays and wants to boost his business.
Yeah. So I think those are all great suggestions. Hang on. I got a question, I think, coming in. Devin says, that is a great, sorry, I'm looking around these cameras. That is a great question to ask vendors. What do you do outside of the wedding industry? Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's
more of a comment. I think Devin's right. I think knowing, and I guess that's the other thing is, when you're talking about being a facilitator, you go to a networking event, and I want to give this as a nugget because I think it's important. Your 60-second speech should not be, hi, my name's Rob. I'm from Rob Peters Entertainment. We do DJ photo. We do uplighting, blah, 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 whatever that is. You should be telling people in that group room or whatever what a good referral for you is. And that's what's missing in every 60-second speech I encounter.
If you didn't write anything down, wait, say that again. If you guys didn't write anything down, write this down.
If you're going to a networking event, make sure you include what your ideal referral is. What is a good referral for you? Because if you're not telling them what a good referral, they don't understand our business if they're not in the industry.
Yeah.
So they might not know that, I don't know, they might not know that you do corporate events or that you do birthday parties or that you do kids entertainment, whatever that is. So by saying to them that a good referral for me is, when I talk about the hot dog business, a good referral for me is anybody who's local and hungry and doesn't have a lot of time for lunch.
Nice.
Because truth be told, I can get the hot dog, bag of chips, and soda all done for them, topped and everything, and have them out of there quicker than the drive-through next door. That pisses them off, by the way, when I put that on my billboard. I have a little.
I would suffice to say, even people within the industry may not necessarily know who your ideal client is. You may not want to work with, I don't know. It's just, you can never assume anything. Is my point. Like, I think what you said is so golden, man.
I think the other thing you got to put into that, though, and this is equally as important. Don't be too specific.
Yeah.
You should not be sitting there going, I'm looking for a bride between 25 and 40 years old whose net income is this and is getting married in this month and this time. You know what? Just open it up. I'm looking for people who got engaged this holiday season and are looking for a great wedding.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of it is salesmanship. And if you don't know what you're doing with that, and I'm just going to throw this out there, one of the best things I ever did in my business, and I think this is something that should be taught in high school, is I think it should be a requirement that everybody in school takes a sales course.
Agreed.
Because 3/4 of your life, no matter what you do, no matter who you are selling something. Yourself for a job, your services for an event. Do you want fries with that? Whatever that is, you're selling something. And if you don't know how to do it, learn. And that's the cool thing right now. If you look online, and that's why I took the social media course, this is the right time. We talk about getting prepped for who we want to be when we grow up, right? Take some time and take a course. I recommend Sandler. I'm a big Sandler advocate. Also, if you're in the wedding industry, Mitch Taylor and Alan Berg have some great materials that you can buy that really will help you get the edge on your sales game. And I think that's crucial.
One of the things also that you can do moving into post-pandemic is if you don't have it in your budget to pay for some of these things, then make sure you put it in your future budget. You're not going to, there's free content out there, but free content's only going to get you so far. Definitely. And you have to be willing to invest just as much money into yourself as you do, your equipment. Yeah. The most important piece of equipment that you will ever have is this right up here, or maybe your heart. Right? Thing. Like that, your heart and your head are the two most important pieces of equipment. No matter what you do, no matter what your business is, they're the most important. Yep. And if you're not investing as much money on them as you are on things that flash and blink and change colors and all that other shit, you're totally missing the boat. You're totally missing the boat.
Knowledge is power.
Really is.
Yeah. It's a lesson in being humble. Is really what it comes down to. Every industry has the toys that are out there. And I'm not knocking the toys because trust me, a piece of gear is useless to you if you don't know how to sell your services to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Truth. But I think salesmanship is an art that still needs to be done. I think it's continuing ed. I think continuing ed is so huge because it's going to help you understand who your ideal client is. And we jump back to that because I think it's important. I was asked in a recent interview, have I ever turned down a client, a prospective client? I have. I'm not shy about it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I am as particular about who I want to work with because I want to make sure that I'm giving them the product that I'm committed to giving them. And if I don't think it's going to be a good fit, I would rather either A, help them find somebody, or at the very least, B, let them know that I'm not comfortable being that person for them.
Yeah.
I can chameleon and be anything my clients want me to be. But if I'm not doing it right or I'm not comfortable doing it, it's going to show in the end product.
Yeah.
And there might be some people watching this right now that might not be at that point yet. Let's be honest. We go into business, excuse me, and we're like Pac-Man. Each one of those little dots, right, is a gig, and we're going after them. We're chopping them up, and I don't want to say we don't care, but we're not looking at, okay, is this a good fit for me? We're going, I got a gig, I got a gig, I got a gig, I got a gig. We're going over and over and over again. The power-up stuff doesn't even matter at that point. Here's what happens at some point, though. You walk out, with a check. You walk out, and you did your job. I think the lost art of taking pride in your work and being proud of the product you put out there is something that is going to come back when this is all said and done, because I think our industry is going under a little shrinkage right now, because there are people who are doing what we opened with, and that is they're taking care of themselves. And unfortunately, the DJ or the wedding industry specific thing they were doing isn't going to cut it. And it's sad that a pandemic had to come along and do all of that. But I think you're going to see a lot of people when this is over. The strong are going to survive, and they're still going to be able to go out there and do great events. But my philosophy has always been, if I'm not a good fit for a couple, I want them to know that, because I don't want to ruin their day.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It takes a lot of humility to say that, because I mean, for someone to just say, oh, I just want to have all the gigs and I'll take everything and I'll find a way to make it work, it takes a lot of humility, and it takes a lot of knowing yourself to say, I really just don't think I'm right for you, and I want you to have the best day that you can possibly have. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about me or you or anyone else. It's about you and your husband, or you and whoever, getting married. It's not about your vendors, right? I mean,
well, and a desperate mindset is never going to produce the right results for you.
Nope.
Desperate mindset will never produce the results.
If you're operating from a standpoint of desperation, you're setting yourself up for failure. Period. End of story. You're setting yourself up for failure.
The other thing we got to throw into this discussion, though, is, and again, being in this industry for as long as I have, bad news now travels a hell of a lot quicker than it did in the 90s.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, back in the 90s, we would send out that infamous follow-up survey. And when you got a crappy one back, it took a week or two. Now it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that needs to be added to that conversation is, first of all, if you are afraid of getting one, it's kind of like, I don't even want to equate this, so I'm going to sidestep what I was about to say. If you're afraid of getting a bad review and you get one, it's not the end of the world. It's how you handle it and respond to it in a public setting that's going to redeem you as the kind of business people are going to want to work with.
Absolutely.
If you ignore it or blow it off, not going to happen. If you write back, you're crazy, not going to work. And believe me, I had one a few years ago. I had a Momzilla. If you've been in the industry, you heard me do a seminar a long time ago about the Zillas of our industry. I had Momzilla. This wasn't her daughter's wedding. This was her daughter's wedding according to her. Everything we chose and did had to be run by her. Day of the wedding, packed dance floor, everything was great. I went up to her 4 times, and I wrote down the 4 times I went up to her, because I just wanted to cover myself. Every time, everything's great, Rob. Thank you so much. You're awesome. $100 tip at the end of the night. 2 weeks later, you didn't play a lot of slow songs. Not, hey, you did a great job. You didn't play a lot of slow songs. She sent me an email first, and I wrote her back. And I wrote a very nice, well-scripted. I got a little advice from a friend on it. And I wrote a very well-documented email back to her. And I was polite, but at the same time, I held my position. Why didn't this get brought up to me in the middle of your event? Mm-hmm. You had a packed dance floor the whole night. I even went as far, we talk about that video trick. I actually took a video of the bride and groom at the end of the wedding. And I sent the link back to her by email. So a week later, she went up on the knot. And she bashed me on the knot. She gave me a 1 star. I took the very same letter, edited it for content, opened it with, as we discussed privately, and I put that in there. And the last thing I did was I put a link to the video from her daughter and her son-in-law. I got more work out of that one review than I did anything else on the knot the whole year. Mm-hmm. So don't be shy about it. But remember one thing. It's very easy to pin the blame on somebody else. It's very easy to say she's batshit crazy. At the end of the day, though, it's how you handle that and the eyes of who's going to read that that's going to make a difference.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, well, we work in such a subjective industry as it is. You know, there's so much subjectivity, in our industry. And I think you bring up a very valid point that, number one, I forget who told me this, but I love, and maybe it's a Gary Vee thing, but never let the highs be too high, never let the lows be too low. It's a Gary Vee thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I take that to heart so much. And it's easy to be on cloud 9 when you get these phenomenal reviews and all that stuff. And I mean, like, that really should be the standard in your brain. But if you, like you said, if you don't get a more than favorable review, maybe take a second to step away from it. Hey, what's up, Lincoln? Hey, Lincoln? What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Maybe take a second to step away from it, and then take on the hat of an attorney and just say, okay, I want to look at this completely like no personal in looking into this whatsoever. Yeah. Almost like I want to look into this like it was somebody that's working for me that they're talking about. They're not talking about me.
Right.
And then let me evaluate what they're saying. Let me see if there's even any credibility in what they're saying. Let me see if there's anything I could have done differently based on what they're saying. And if there is, learn from it and grow. Yeah. If it's a comment, or if it's just a straight up bashing that is completely wrong and completely, like, we all know there's some people out there that suffer from sticker shock and spend, $15, $20, $30, somewhat $100,000 on a wedding, and then 2 days later they're like, holy shit, I spent how much money for this thing that lasted 5 hours? Like, I want to get my money back somehow. And then all of a sudden you're the worst person under the sun.
Right.
They're out there. We know that.
Yeah.
But even in that instance, respond with dignity, respond with respect, respond with humility. Yeah. And find something to learn from the situation. If the only thing you learn is that that's not your client, understand the qualities of those people and stay the hell away from them.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something that I want to add to really quick, and this can go not just for what you're talking about when it comes to a bad review, but it also can go to your marketing. I used to do radio, as you mentioned at the top. And one of the things I did and this was while I was in college, I did an internship in the sales department. That's where I really learned how to sell in the beginning. They actually made me do a complete pitch for a furniture store, soup to nuts. And we did it. It wound up really good. But one of the things they teach you is the morning after. We talk about the morning after being a bad thing in certain environments and being something. But what you should do is never send your response the day you get it, or never design your ad and then send it out. I used to, and I don't anymore in my house, but I have it in my office space here at the house. When I'm working on something, I put it up on the bulletin board and I don't even look at it again till the next day. I sleep on it. That way there, I can look at it the next day and say, is this really what I want to be sending out?
Yeah, I love that.
And that's really cool from a standpoint in marketing, because let's be honest, a lot of us are do-it-yourselfers, where we think we know. We get on Canva, and I'm pretty good with Canva myself, and I do it for what I need to do things with. But I might look at something the next day and be like, oh, you know what? I don't like that shade of blue, or oh, you know what? I have a better picture of the bride that I want to use for this thing. And don't be afraid to bounce it off of people either.
I was about to say the same thing. I bounce stuff off Nick all the time. He constantly tells me to change it.
I have 4 or 5 people who I call my Rob Peters executive board, and they are the people who, when I'm designing stuff or I'm thinking about doing something, they're the 4 or 5 people. Kim's one of them, my fiance upstairs. I bounce it off of them. And I think that that's important to get some perspective on it. Yeah. I don't bounce everything off of them, just the things that I really think I need to get some perspective on. And sometimes those difficult situations or my marketing needs to be, it needs a second set of eyes. For example, and DJ Dogs, the name DJ Dogs wasn't our first pick. When I came up to it, and we talked about this earlier, this was something my dad and I talked about doing. We originally were going to call it Bobby Dogs after my dad. And it involved a campfire and some beverages. Let's just leave it there. And it was some friends of ours who I consider to be people that I bounce stuff off of, Kim and myself. And we were sitting around a campfire one night camping. And her friend Cindy said, I really think you should call it DJ Dogs. And I'm like, where's it? Well, you're a DJ, and this could be a really good marketing thing. And I saw the pieces come together at that point. And you know what? It's funny now because people go, you're DJ. No, I'm the DJ. And here's your hot dog. You know what I mean? It's been a really good lesson in learning some things. And I guess that's the other thing. I went into this whole thing on the hot dog end, not having a clue. I mean, I knew how to make a good hot dog. I did a lot of research, and, I learned a lot of stuff about how to deal. You talk about dealing with brides, try dealing with boards of health. You think brides are bad. Yikes.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, it's, don't be afraid to bounce some stuff off some people. But you know what? Remember, at the end of the day, sometimes we can design the best stuff in the world or come up with the best idea. Sometimes we need somebody to reel us in a little bit to make sure we don't make mistakes.
Hey, that's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep. Agreed. Well, this has been a great conversation. Like, as usual, every time Rob and I get together, I feel like I never realize how much I don't know until I talk to people like Rob. And then it reminds me that there's so much more for me still to learn. And I will always thank you for that. Along with your friendship, of course. Your
friendship has been the best, man. I mean, heck, I traveled to your area. You let me stay in your house.
Yep.
And you didn't care that, I left the towel on the floor. I don't know if my wife did or not, but that's another
story. Still there. Actually, it's still there.
But you know what? And that's the key. I guess that's the one thing I kind of want to close with to bring this all together for a second. And it doesn't matter what the industry is, everybody. Don't be so concerned about being the best. Be concerned about who you are and being the good guy in your industry.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, in some of our industries, I'm sure there's the hot shot. I'm sure there's the person who thinks their crap doesn't stink. But you know what? At the end of the day, I try to be friendly with everybody. From the mobile DJ end, in the DJ industry in particular, I try to be friendly with everybody. But in the DJ industry in my market, I try to be friendly with everybody, no matter if I've lost 5 gigs to them, no matter whether they're brand new or whether there's somebody I've butted heads with, or maybe somebody that I've had lunch with. Yeah. Because at the end of the day may come, and I've been in this position, I can speak to this, where I might need to call a favor in, or I might need something covered.
Yeah.
And my crew can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to make my customer happy, I might need to call somebody and ask for help. And there's nothing shy about that. But you know what, David? I've enjoyed being on here. I'd love to come back. And there's so much more we didn't even get to tonight that we wrote up originally. There's a whole bunch of stuff we could talk about, but it's always fun to come up and share what I know. And I guess that's the biggest blessing about being in this industry is to meet people like you and Nick, and a lot of the people that are watching. I know I see Big Daddy and Carol and Mike. It's the best blessing in the world to be affiliated with a lot of great people and to meet a lot of people. So
hey, there's
being on tonight.
There's our boy Luke.
Luke's here.
Yes.
Luke, who's been on more radio stations up here than I have lately. So
I know Luke is a local celebrity up there right now. I love it.
He's fighting the good fight right now. So
I love it. Well, we all should commend him for that, for sure.
Yeah, he's doing a heck of a job up here. He's representing the industry to try and make sure the industry survives in this area. And I'm very proud to watch the work he's doing. So good to see you, Luke. I'm glad you found some time tonight. I know you've been really busy.
All right, guys that are watching, if you have any questions for Rob or Nick and I, feel free to drop those questions in the comments before we get out of here. We are going to do one of our favorite segments of the show.
Something tells me that I should have read more of these before we get into this tonight, right?
Yes. Well, you would have the wrong deck in hand because since it's December, we decided to go with the old holiday deck, and so we're going to ask questions. If you've never watched this segment before, this is from our friends at Poddex. Rob talked about them earlier. A great product you can use for networking. And if you're not sure the kind of questions to ask people and things like that, Poddex is perfect for that. Poddex is a great tool to utilize for that. And so, we can let you guys know some more about that as well. Usually we always have a link to their information and all the stuff that we post. So we're going to ask questions. We'll just ping pong back and forth with questions. All of our bigger and always ask us PG-13. Hey, man, you know me. You say what you want to say. It is way past nine. Well, no, it's not past 9 o'clock. It's only 8:30. But it doesn't matter. It's past 9 o'clock somewhere. Isn't that what Kenny G or Kenny Chesney or somebody would say? All right, so let's rock and roll. Guys, you are welcome. So here's how it works. Nick and I are going to ask the questions. Rob, they'll go to you first, and then we may answer them amongst ourselves as well. People that are watching, please feel free to drop your answers in the comments, and we will throw those out there. And Big Earn, we always look forward to his replies to all of this. So anyways, no, actually, I think it was Jimmy Buffett.
I think it was Jimmy Buffett.
It was actually Alan Jackson with Jimmy Buffett.
Yes.
There we go.
Boom.
All right.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Well, it took friggin'
Saturday is Billy Joel.
The sad thing is it took like 4 DJs to say all that. Okay, here we go. You go first. Yeah, you go first.
What's your favorite winter activity?
My favorite winter activity, snowmobiling.
That's fun.
Ooh.
That's a lot of fun.
I don't get to do it as much, but occasionally we get to get out there and open them up a little bit and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, that's great. David?
Big Earn said, "Speak up, Nick."
Oh, what is your favorite winter activity?
Okay. Making yellow snow.
Making some
well, in the 24 hours of winter in Florida, I typically like to wear a hoodie.
Right, that's about all we get to do.
Because that's about all we get to do in Florida is about a 24-hour winter, maybe.
Like this is like tonight. It's gonna be like in the 30s. I'm like, oh yes, like a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You too.
Absolutely.
Up here in Boston all day. Knock it off.
Once again, guys, feel free to drop your comments. If you have responses, please drop them, as Big Earn always does a great job of. We'd love to read y'all's comments and answers to the questions here. All right, here we go. Next one. What date is acceptable to start decorating for Christmas and listen to Christmas music?
September 1st.
The day after Thanksgiving.
The day after Thanksgiving, and you say September 1st?
No, that was ridiculous. I'd probably I'd go with Rob's answer. I'd say probably the day after Thanksgiving.
The day after Thanksgiving.
When I see things come up in the store in October, I get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of the Grinch on this one. I'm kind of like, put the tree up on the 24th, take it down on the 26th. Let's keep moving here. Let's keep going.
That's fair. All right. Holiday travel, fun or too much of a hassle? Holiday travel, fun or too much of a hassle?
I got to be honest with you. I don't usually travel during the holidays, so I got to pass on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never had to. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really travel too much either. I mean, if I'm doing anything, it's like usually like on the road. So
yeah.
See, I'm a nut though when it comes to going to the airport. Even when I have to travel, and back in the day when I used to travel for name, I used to I get to the airport 3 hours early and get through security, and then I sit at a bar somewhere.
Yeah,
so
that's a smart idea.
During the holidays, I'd be getting there 6 hours early, getting through security in 2 hours, and then still have time for a little bit of drinking.
Yeah, Big Earn, the wandering DJ.
Yeah, he definitely is. I think my take on this one is I basically just say, here's the days I'm available. If you want to see me, here's where I'll be. Like, come to me.
That's some shark shit right there.
That is some shark shit, right?
Yeah.
All right. Were you the kind of kid who tried to open your Christmas presents early to see what they were?
No,
never did, huh?
I was really patient. It was my sister, on the other hand, she would try to go around the house and find the hiding spots.
Yeah, I would go with Rob's answer as well. I was never looking for them. However, my mom did a really bad job one year of trying to hide them, and I went into her closet to go like look for something. I was like, "What are all these things doing here?" Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Oh no!" She tried to play it off. She was like, "No, I'm donating them." Yeah. And then all those things were like under the tree on Christmas morning. I was like,
Yeah, your mom's like, "Oh, these are for the kids in the neighborhood. Right? These are not for you."
Yeah. Which is a great segue into this question. How did you find out Santa wasn't real, and how old were you?
Since you brought that up, you brought up the whole closet thing.
Yeah.
I was in second grade, so I was like 8 or 9. And
Turn, you kill me.
My parents hid all of our stuff in their bedroom closet. And my mom sent me upstairs. She said, "Go up to my closet, get my slippers." And I opened it up, opened the door, and there was everything I had asked for Christmas.
Oh, that's crazy.
Sitting right there. And I actually got nervous. I remember going to bed. I didn't really say too much. I brought the slippers down. I went to bed, and I remember going, "Oh, shoot. Now that I know, now that I've seen everything, is it really going to be there the next morning?" And I remember I probably had the worst night's sleep in the world being 9 years old because I was that anxious the whole night.
Yeah, like that's some pressure. Like think about like, do you let like if your parents don't realize that you saw them,
right?
Do you say something about it or do you just ignore it?
I ignored it as well. Like I wasn't trying to. I ignored it for a long time, and I mean I found out when I was like 11, and I was in the car with one of my friends, and his mom looked back at me during the holiday season. She was like, "Oh, you still don't believe in Santa, do you?" And like at this point, I was like, "Oh, right."
My mom caught on the next year when I changed my entire list about what I wanted.
Oh wow!
Oh man!
All right, let's go back to your Rob. Rob, what's your answer to the Santa thing?
Oh, mine?
Yeah,
I just gave it to you. I found out. Oh, what do you mean? What was the last part of the question?
How old? Yeah, no, he said that. Yeah, he told us how he found out Santa wasn't real.
Oh, okay. That was his answer to finding out how Santa wasn't real. Gotcha.
How did you find out, David?
I really don't. I really don't recall like when I found out that Santa wasn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really recall when that happened. And I think I was kind of an inquisitive kind of kid, like thinking to myself, okay, if Santa is at this mall right now, but then I also know that Santa is at that mall right now.
Yeah.
What's up with this dude?
Right. I was told it was Santa magic and that he was watching.
Oh, Gotcha.
I kind of knew. I was very much like David in that sense, where I was like, dude, there's no feasibly, even at a very young age, I was like, it's conceptually impossible for one person to, and I knew like there's hundreds of millions of people like just in America. How is it? Like it just didn't make any. I kind of knew. I just wanted to believe, and I was just like, all right. I do.
Nick still believes.
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Nick still, yeah. Essentially, what I'm saying is, I still believe.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love that one. All right. Well, what's your favorite Christmas ornament on the tree?
Oh, I gotta get sentimental here for a minute. And my dad, and I mentioned this one, my dad passed away in April. And it's a bunny rabbit. It's a Hallmark ornament. It's a bunny rabbit in an airplane from, ironically, when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And it's got the plug-in that goes into the lights. So the plane goes down and up, and it's attached to a string. It's got a little motor attached to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Sorry, we didn't mean to make light of that story. It's just that Ern always makes us laugh with his silliness.
Yeah, he put up something about a
No, that's fine. Listen, you know what? I'm learning that Big Ern is kind of like Howard Stern. You just don't know.
Oh, he really is. We love him.
No, that's cool, Ern. That's all right. So yeah, that's my favorite.
I would say mine is like a lot similar. I feel like ornaments are pretty sentimental. Like you put them up because they are kind of like an encapsulation of your life. I mean, I have a few. I mean, on my parents' tree, it's like, oh, you know, my graduation's a big one. You know, for them, it's like, oh, you know, when I was born, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like those types of things are important. But my favorite one, I'd probably say like my graduation was pretty big for me. Like they got like a ton of ornaments from like the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. It was really cool. So
nice. Nice. All right, what's your next question?
All right. What's the best Christmas present you ever got?
Ooh, best Christmas present I ever got.
I gotta be honest with you. That's a real tough one.
Yeah.
Geez.
While you think about it, mine was in 2018, and it was actually pre-Christmas, and it was when the Red Sox went to the World Series again, and I ended up buying World Series tickets for myself, and then I was like, there goes Christmas, but at least I'm going to the World Series. Dude, so sick. That's mine.
I love that.
I gotta be honest with you. There's the best one I ever got. Jeez.
Not only that, I don't have a memory past like 2 days ago. So
well, that's just it. Is, you know, I'm thinking, you know, I gotta be honest with you. I think my dad bought me a when I used to work on cars back in the day when I was a lot younger. So he had got me a bunch of tools and a nice red tool chest for it. So
I'd say mine was probably when the Wii came out. That was really big. Like that was like a super popular item, but it wasn't just the Wii. It was the fact that I remember. I don't really remember the Wii. The Wii's long gone. I remember as a family, me, my sister, my mom, and dad, like we all like played like Wii Sports and stuff together like that day, and I just remember that being like super memorable. So not to get all like sappy.
You're such a sweet guy. You're so in touch with your emotions.
You know what, Nick? We did the same thing when we got our Wii, and you know, Kim and Madison and I, when we got the Wii mainly for her, and you know, we made it one of the things that we got through the winter with. When you talk about, you know, winter activities, we had a one night where it was dedicated. We had dinner, and we would pick a Wii game, and we would play Wii for till Madison went to bed anyway, and then, you know, it was what it was.
Yeah, I totally thought you both were talking about weed. I mean, I was seriously over here thinking like, I've never gotten that for Christmas, but hell, I wish I would have, because that would have been a very chill Christmas. So I just realized you were not talking about weed. Sorry about that.
No.
All right. All right. My God, we've almost been on for 2 hours. Holy crap. All right, let's wrap it up with one more. Okay. Here we go. And this is a perfect one to wrap it up on. What is your favorite holiday song?
Oh. You know what? You know what? I'll give you the answer on this one. It's Carol of the Bells, the David Foster version.
Wow. Big Ern, you're a trip. I'm not laughing at your song choice. I'm laughing at Big Ern as usual.
Please stop my car.
Oh my God. How about yours?
I like those classics. I really like the redone version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That like rock star version of it.
Wow.
It's like the live concert version. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Version.
Yeah.
I feel like such a degenerate because I was going to say Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by DMX. Now I feel like a real degenerate.
That's
compared to y'all's answers.
But that's a great DJ answer. That's a phenomenal.
Actually, you know what I really have been liking is oh man, what is the name of the group? Acapella group.
Yeah, those guys.
They did the
12
days
comments.
Not Pentatonics.
Okay.
Straight No Chaser.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really,
They are actually great.
A little bit. It's funny, which is really good too. So.
Yeah.
No, Straight No Chaser is great. You're absolutely right.
I like Adam Sandler.
Yeah, some of Adam Sandler stuff is funny. Yeah, some of his stuff is funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yep.
He's a really funny guy, and he's actually really talented, like in music and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, last question for me. What's the worst Christmas present you've ever received? Maybe some funny answers.
Oh my goodness.
These are some good ones, Aaron.
They are some good ones. I have to be honest with you, and I don't even want to say this because God rest her soul. My grandparents never had my sizes right. So I guess I could probably classify anything from age 9 to 18 that my grandparents bought me because it never fit and it was always out of style.
That's
and I always took it back to the store and get what I wanted. So
yeah,
it was a win in the end. But
there you go.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. I now that I'm thinking about it, like anything from like family members like that, like they haven't seen you in a little while, so they don't really know, and then it's like, all right, like I grew a lot, or it's like that. It's like, yeah, that doesn't fit, or like, wow, what is that? Like
you're not into Paw Patrols anymore, so I get it.
Jelly of the Month Club. Just buy them Jelly or Beer of the Month Club. That's all you need.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
I think it was probably the year my parents gave me the Wii also, and I thought that they also meant weed. So that was probably it also.
But Big Ern's comment, the Cousin Eddies. Kind of lucky. I don't have any Cousin Eddies in my family, so that worked out pretty well for me. So
I'm just kidding, guys. Don't do drugs. And if you do, share them. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching us tonight. Hope you guys had a good time with us. Rob, I love you to death. You're like a brother to me, man. You are absolutely my family, and I am a better person because of that. So thank you for that. For everybody that's watching, it looks like we still have, I don't know if it's the same half, but at least half the people that were watching when we started. Yeah. It looks like they're still on with us. So thank you for sticking around with us for almost 2 hours. We hope you guys got something out of this, both educationally, inspirationally, and maybe humorously as well. We will be back next week. We have shows for the rest of the month. Yeah, we have shows for the rest of the month. So, hey, if you missed any of our past shows, the best thing you can do to help us out is 2 things. Number 1, I said it in the beginning. Please go subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever that thing is. Please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us spread the love in the community. And secondly, as we mentioned also in the beginning of the podcast, if you missed that, or the vidcast or vodcast, whatever the hell you want to call this thing, we do now have all of our shows in podcast version on just about all of your favorite podcast outlets. Hopefully it'll be up on Apple Podcasts pretty soon too. Just waiting for the approval of that. But all of those past shows have been broken down into smaller chunks, smaller segments. So for example, tonight's show will probably be broken down into like 3 or 4 different segments so that you can kind of listen to them a little bit at a time. So please go back and listen to those. Thank you, Big Ern. We love having you on, man. We love your comedy. We love everybody's support out there. And one last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let you close like normal. Please do us a favor. Go look at your list of contacts, and for a holiday present, invite them to join the Wedding Business Growth Facebook group. It will cost you nothing but a little bit of time, but it will help them become a part of a community that truly cares about them before we even know them. We care about them because they're a part of our community.
Can I expand on that for 1 second?
Please do.
Real simple. Now you have an excuse for your 10, 2, and 4 for the rest of the week.
Yes.
Boom.
There you go.
That's it.
Told y'all some truth bombs were going to be dropped.
Boom.
All right, man. I'll let you close it out.
Rob, thank you so much. The information was valuable. Appreciate
Thank you.
being on the show. It's been
Thanks for having me on.
I feel inspired. Honestly, I feel inspired to go network and to continue education. So this has been awesome, and I appreciate you. Hopefully, we can connect, in person when this is all said and done. But
absolutely,
David.
Yeah, man. All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Rob, stay on with us behind the scenes if you would. Everybody else, thank you guys. We'll see you all. Have a great week. We'll see you next week for another great guest. And man, do something awesome this week. Tell somebody you love them.
Peace.
Later, guys.